Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay. Phew, I was like, first I was on the Google Calendar, then I was on that other link, and then I'm like, oh no, I messed it all up.
No, that's my fault. I had to
Okay.
regenerate a new link. Something went wrong with the
Oh,
software, so I'm so sorry about that. That's why I just sent you
no
at the
problem.
last
Sorry
minute.
about being. We're here now, right? We're all good.
Yes, we here. Yeah. So Anna, how you pronounce your last name? I don't want to butcher it once we go
Oh,
live.
we're not live yet. Okay. Phew.
Uh,
Okay. I was gonna say, oh my gosh. Leonarda. Anna.
Leonardo.
Yeah, Leonarda. Yeah.
Got you. So what I'm gonna do my basic introduction.
Hmm.
Then I'm gonna introduce you. I'm gonna get right into it. Okay,
Your name's Jeff, correct?
Jeff.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
All right. All right. Here we go. 30 seconds.
Okay.
What is up? What is up, everybody? What is up? We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome to another episode of Saucy Conversations. And before we get started, I would like to give all praises to the Most High Yahweh and His unforgotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the word called Jesus Christ. We keep God first in everything that we do. When it comes to the Saucy family, I'm your boy Jeff, and this is episode 13. I have a special guest in the house today, but before I get to her, everybody, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification button to get notified when we dropping a new episode or when we go on live. Also, head over to Teespring right now. The link is in the bio. And social support. We got some official merchandise for the podcast. We got T-shirts. We got hoodies. And if you got pets, we got pet hoodies because it's the winter time and it's cold outside. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors for today, which is Click A Vodka. Make sure you go support them. The link is also in the bio, and also our other sponsor, which is Holistic Remedies. Is body butters, got CBD oils. If you got pain like me, I got bad joints. Playing football for all these years. So make sure you go support Holistic Remedies and use that promo code HR Meet Saucy, and you get 10% off. Again, HR Meet Saucy, you get 10% off. Shout out to my co-host is going to be here today. Shout out to Max. Shout out to Fernice, and shout out to Dad. Peace and love to everybody. And today I have a special guest in the house. She is the CEO of Entwine, and I'm gonna let her explain what Entwine is in a few moments. I'd like to welcome to Source Conversations, Anna Leonardo. How you doing?
Hi.
How you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Good, good. How was your day today?
It was good. How about you?
Good, good. A little busy. I actually work for the NBA full time, and yesterday was actually the first day everybody coming back to the office and working. I do security for them,
Okay.
and just seeing everybody back was a good thing because I got sick and tired of talking to walls and chairs all the time. So it's good. So it's good to see everybody back, having conversations, hugging everybody, welcoming everybody back. Yeah, so my day was a little bit busy because the NBA they the time goes very fast and it's so busy. So when you come in the morning, whatever time you come in, whether it's 9 or 10 o'clock, once you get in, you're having your breakfast, and then you start doing your work. Then the next thing you know, it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
Then after that, then the next thing you know, it's time to go home. So it's very exhausting. But thanks for asking.
Oh, good.
So and let's get right into it. We got a lot to unpack in this hour. First, I just want to start with the beginning before we talk about the present and the future.
Hmm.
Tell us where did you grow up? How was the household? You got any siblings
Sure.
or anything like that?
I grew up in the city of Chicago, and then I moved to the suburbs around 10 years old. So I've pretty much been in the same area for majority of my life.
Okay.
and I have 2 kids. One's 19, one's 14, and
Nice.
they're good kids and keeping me busy. One's in college, one's a freshman in high school, and yeah, I grew up, actually, after I got married, I was mostly a stay-at-home mom after I had my kids and stuff, but, I also did
Okay.
some part-time work as a medical transcriptionist, which I just a fancy word for typing doctor notes, so, I mean, I still do that now, um,
Okay.
and then, I just it's good, this kinda gets my mind off of things too, so but mostly I'm working on the app that I, invented or created, I should say.
Okay. So you grew up in Chi-Town. Did you play like any sports in school?
No, I was last picked in gym class, so I wasn't very athletic.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. My son played soccer, so I like watching him play, but I am just not very
So
athletic.
growing up in Chi-Town and also the suburbs. Tell us about the environment. How it was, tell us about who grew up around your friends stuff. How was the environment in Chi-Town? Also, you moving to the suburbs at a younger age. Tell us about the environment.
In Chicago, I mean, all I remember is just riding my bike, up and down the street and just going to the park, walking to the park and just, not having electronics, so it was it was nice just to be a kid, right? And then
Right. Right.
and I was in a Catholic school as well, so I had to,
Okay.
wear a uniform and everything, and so when I moved to the suburbs, it was a little bit of a shock to me. I was probably, like, around 10 or 11. So, because I was like, "Wait, I gotta wear regular clothes and, I don't know what I'm supposed to wear." So I walked, went to school looking like a dork and nobody knew. Nobody told me. My parents didn't tell me. They're old school Italians too, so, uh,
Okay.
yeah, so they're good people though. They still live in the same house that we moved to, and, yeah, so it's I got a good childhood.
That's good. That's good. Going to school, did you have any subjects that you was your favorite, or any cl- topics that was your classes? I mean, like any classes that was you was very interested in growing up.
Um, to be honest, like, but growing up, it was a struggle for me to be in school because
Mm,
my first language was Italian, so I went to school not really speaking much English, so
mhm.
but, so I struggled a little bit to read and stuff, so, but I never knew how to tell anybody, like, back then, it didn't seem like they cared, or not that they didn't care, but just that they weren't very observant or, uh, accommodating for people that couldn't read that well or whatever, so it was a struggle for me, so for most of my, uh, school school years, but, I mean, I loved, like, the elective classes, like the chorus, like, I just like, that was my I like right now, actually, that's what I do now is my outlet is I go to karaoke bars, um, a little bit too much. I'm kind of a kara I'm a karaoke whore.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I love
So
me some karaoke. Ain't nothing wrong with
yeah,
that.
yeah, so and I never had the confidence of singing in front of anybody, so it's when I did chorus, I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually singing, and I got an A in it. Oh, great." But then, so yeah, no, so I never did karaoke until I, got divorced, and then I was like, "You know what? This is an outlet for me, so why don't I just go do that?" So I just like, "Well, why don't I just become a karaoke whore?" And that's what I did. So it's a good stress reliever, and, it was good, well, it doesn't cause me stress. It releases stress for me, but it might cause stress for everybody else, but I don't really care.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
perfect or whatever, but
Right, right. I wasn't really a good. I wasn't a really a school guy myself. I really hated school, and I got like mostly got 65s and everything, which is passing. But your parents want you to do better.
yeah, that
You
sounds
got to get
about right.
90s and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like school was so not me. I was so happy when I graduated from high school.
Oh my gosh.
Like I wasn't even going to college. I was a working person since I actually was legal to work. But before I actually got legal to work, I was just like working. I was like a paper boy, and working for like the local pizza shop and handing out flyers to um to each apartment or home. So I was always a working type person, like a blue collar type person. School was never for me.
Yeah, I didn't wanna say that out loud, but I couldn't stand school. I couldn't wait for it to be over. I would study like, I went to school to be a court reporter, a court stenographer.
Yes,
You know what that is? Like, someone that just take all the
type.
notes. Yeah, they
Yeah, typing. Yeah.
yeah, verbatim on this little machine, and, and so I started taking that. I would study hours and hours and hours for, like, classes, and then I would take the test, and I would get a D. I'm like, "What in the hell?" And I didn't realize it was just test anxiety, right? So,
Right, right, right.
yeah, so it was definitely a struggle for me, and I did start working at a young age too, like, I was probably, like, 11 or 12, making, like, $2 an hour cash at a Chinese restaurant, packing
Wow.
food and taking phone calls and stuff, but I was all excited. I'm like, I get to work, you know, 3, 4 months just to get, like, one thing from the store. It's $2 an hour, got 10-cent raise, yay!
Yeah,
So
my first road job was at McDonald's.
oh, nice.
So yeah, so I was working at McDonald's, and it was full. It was full. I was like the only black person in this McDonald's. It was owned by like a Dominican guy, great guy by the way. He gave my first job, but not learning how to not knowing the language and everything, and you know how you feel like when people's talking out in another language, you feel like people's talking about you and stuff like that. So it just felt very awkward.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Or yeah, yeah, working in that type of environment, but it's life. It's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was working for like $5.25 at the time. I was like in high school. I thought that was the world because I could buy my own sneakers and stuff like that. Getting like $300 a week.
Well, that's I mean, I had to
Yeah,
work 10 years for that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Back
all
then,
I,
no.
yeah, and all I got is a window once you have kids. Like
Yeah.
I had two boys myself, so I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh, nice, that makes
So
sense.
yeah. So growing up, what were your hobbies? What you like to do to get your mind off for school? Like, what you like to do? Did you like to read? Did you like to do write or poetry or stuff like that? What was you into? What was your hobbies?
Gosh, I haven't been asked these questions for I don't even know how long. I guess it caught me off guard here. Um, Growing up, I mean, when I was a kid, I was just hang out with my friends, play some board games and stuff like that, just walk for miles and miles and miles, and just have fun, just so I really didn't have any hobbies, especially with sports. Now I actually have more hobbies, I feel like, than I did when I was younger, but that was a long time ago. Geez, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
40,
well, tell
46
us what
now.
like yeah. So tell us what you like to do now as hobbies.
So I cannot draw for nothing, but for some reason, I started doing those sip and paint classes where you go to
Okay, yeah,
yeah. So
I've been there.
I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I always thought, oh, I'm gonna suck. So I started doing it. I'm like, oh, like this actually looks pretty good. So I went to like 3 or 4 more classes, and I was like, I'm too cheap to pay $35 each time I have to do this. So I I got some paint and brushes, and so now I follow YouTube videos and just paint, and it's pretty stressful because I drop a lot of F bombs when I'm drawing or when I'm painting.
Oh, that's
So
fine.
yeah, I someone asked me like, "Well, how hard was it?" I'm like, "Well, it was about 7 F-bombs were thrown at, so it was difficult. Some take like 7 hours, some take
Yeah.
like, a couple hours." So, but but I found that I I liked it. Like I was like, I'm actually am good at something. So it's not sports. So ended up being painting, and I thought, heck, so I put it on my wall. I have my wall in my family room is just full of my paintings, and so that's my hobby. And then of course karaoke singing. That's every other week when I don't have my daughter. I try to get out of the house, and that's what I'm doing is hitting up the bars, I guess, like I'm a
Right,
young girl, but whatever.
right. Um, I know you just said you're Italian, so
Mhm.
my Italian friends that I know they like to cook and they like to eat.
Yeah.
So are you a cooker? Do you like to cook?
Yes,
And
I love
what
it.
are your favorite dishes you like to cook?
So I don't really like going out because I'll go to like an Italian restaurant and I'll
Uh,
be like, "This is $20 and I could make this at home for $3." This is how I think. That's how my parents think too, So and I grew up always eating at home, and it was pasta every freaking day. So I love pasta. And I make homemade pasta, I make homemade ice cream, and that's not really Italian, but uh then also focaccia, if you know what that is. It's like pizza bread without cheese, and it's just like tomatoes and
yes,
okay.
yes,
So I
yes.
make that from scratch as well, and making pasta is fun, a lot of work, but it's fun. And like
So you make it from scratch?
Yeah,
Make Oh, nice,
yeah,
nice.
yeah, I do. Yeah,
Oh, you got a dog, huh?
yeah. I was gonna try to mute that. Yeah, I do. She's upstairs, so I can't really yell at her to shut up.
Right, right. My next question for you is I know you was diagnosed with breast cancer at 8 years old. Walk us through
I was diagnosed 9 years ago with breast.
9 years ago. Oh,
Yeah,
nine. I'm sorry about that.
yeah.
9 years
I
ago.
was 36 years old. Yes.
Yes, 9 years ago. Tell us about the day that she actually found out that you had breast cancer, and what was going through your mind during that time.
So I was 36. I was in the shower. Sorry about my dog. And I found a breast lump, and I was like, well, there's no family history, and I worked in pathology at the time as a secretary at a
Okay.
hospital, so I kind of was familiar with like a lot of people getting diagnosed, but they're mostly are older. So I'm like, well, it's probably nothing. So I went to the doctor, and they did a biopsy, and it's like you have breast cancer. So I'm like, I'm 36 and I have breast cancer. I'm like, what in the hell? And I ended up having three tumors on my left breast, and I had a double mastectomy and multiple surgeries for reconstruction, and also a hysterectomy because my breast cancer was estrogen fed. So it was very shocking to get the diagnosis. But I never like did like, oh no, why me? I was just kind of like, okay, I got this diagnosis. What am I gonna do? What are my choices? I have these two young kids. It's like I have to beat it, and I have to like go through the chemo, and the worst part was losing my hair. Of course, to me was what the hardest part. Chemo was tolerable, but it was just, it just threw my life upside down. I was like, what in the hell just happened? It's just, I felt healthy. I thought I looked healthy. I remember I just lost like some weight and was in shape. And then I'm like, well, I have cancer. I'm like, I don't look like I have cancer. And people would say that you don't look sick. I'm like, I don't feel sick. So, so the doctor was like, well, it's estrogen fed. That's how the tumor grows by estrogen. So the goal was to get rid of all of my estrogen. So they forced me into menopause at 36, and
Wow.
that really takes a toll on your body. So, um, and then I had, of course, some side effects from that that are long term, and some of the reasons for those side effects. This is why I created the app that I did, which we'll talk about soon, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. Um, um, I couldn't imagine, what was going through your mind and how you was feeling and what you went through, doing this whole therapy thing. What was, a, maybe one thing or a couple of things that actually inspire you to, keep going and keep fighting this fight?
I believe it was my kids for sure, because the only people that I know that had cancer, they died. So I thought, I'm gonna die. And they said this is an aggressive cancer, so I'm like, what am I gonna do? So I reached out to one of my friends who also had she had esophagus cancer, and I kind of talked to her and I said, hey, can you give me some pointers? I'm like, I see you going through chemo and you're still going to work and you're nonstop. I'm like, how do I do that? Like, what am I gonna do? And to make my kids, I need to fight this. So just by seeing my kids and just trying to keep a happy face on myself, I think that just kind of motivated me to stay positive. And then I thought, how can I control this situation? And I thought, okay, I don't want to see clumps of hair come out, or on a brush or on the ground or in the shower. So I'm like, how do I prevent that from
Right.
happening? Well, shave my head before I have to. So like I had like 10, I remember going like this and going, oh, there's like 10 strands. I'm like, well, you know what? It's time to shave it. It was like the 21st day after my first chemo treatment. So so I just made a little mohawk for a little bit and took some pictures
Yeah.
and then shaved the rest off, and then I wore a cancer suck shirt when I went to the cancer treatment. I would wear a cancer suck shirt, and then I would wear a pink wig. I never wanted to really be around anywhere bald because I felt like that meant I was sick, right? So
Right.
everybody would look
Right.
at me, oh, she's sick. Well, she's got cancer, So I'm like, I'll just keep putting in front of my kids. I never was bald, but I always had a hat on or something. But so my goal was to make people laugh and make people. I was trying to comfort everybody else around me, I guess. Like my family. was,
Right.
they're all crying around me, my friends crying. I'm like, "It's gonna be okay." I'm consoling her. I'm like, "Wait a minute, I have the cancer, not you." So I feel
Yeah.
like I was trying to be strong, and I was, I don't know, people are like, "Oh, you're so strong." I'm like, I had no choice,
Yeah.
It's like I had, but, and so my goal is to make people laugh and try to inspire them a little bit too, because the people I did talk to, a couple of them, they're like, "Oh, the chemo's horrible. You're gonna be in bed. You're gonna be so sick. You're not gonna be able to go anywhere. You're not gonna be able to eat. You're not gonna be able to do anything." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I can't be like that. I do everything." My ex used to travel all the time. So I'm like, how am I gonna do this? And then I came across a lady that was in her 60s at the American Cancer Society, and she was fitting me for my wig. And she's like, "What kind of treatment are you getting?" And I told her, and she's like, "Oh, honey, you're gonna be fine." She goes, "That's actually because I just went through that 2 years ago and I'm okay." And I'm like, "Really?" So it was nice to, like, when I noticed a difference of me talking to this positive person versus a person that was very negative. And I felt like, I want to be this positive person and I want to talk to people and help them. Meaning, like, if I told my friends, I'm like, "There's a reason why I got breast cancer. I don't know what it is. My guess is to help people." So if there's anybody that that has a cancer diagnosis or a lump and they're scared and they don't know what to do, and just have them reach out to me. Maybe that's what I was meant to do, is help people. So I started doing that, but I knew that there needs to be more than just helping people. But so I just tried to keep a smile on my face. Never thought, like, why me? Never felt sorry for myself. Actually, never cried the whole time. I still have moments where I'm like, I can't believe I didn't cry the whole time I was going through that. But it's like there's no time to cry. Just beat this cancer, and that's what I did. 7 surgeries total. So that was pretty fun.
Absolutely. I got you a round of applause for that.
Oh,
My next question to you, for our audience that really don't know a lot about breast cancer,
mhm.
um, is this something that is passed on through genes, or is this something that you could just wind up getting in general?
I think it can be through genes. Like I did the genetic testing, and there was everything was negative. So it could be environmental, it could be genetic, it could be. I mean, I'm thinking mine was environmental and stress induced, but that's just my guess. It's like they have no idea what it is. That's the hard part about cancer. It's pretty sneaky.
Right. Um, I know you mentioned going through chemotherapy and how it really took a lot out of you. Um, how many days a week and time that you had to to spend doing chemotherapy?
So that was the thing I was scared about too. Is like, how am I going to feel with chemotherapy? Like I see other people and they're all so sick, and so I had to go for 6 treatments of the major chemo. So I had a port in my chest so they could access that, because with breast cancer they can only use the arm for blood draws that did not have any lymph nodes taken out.
Mm,
So I had lymph nodes taken on my left arm, so I can't have any blood drawn from it or any kind of injections or blood pressure checked on my left arm.
right,
So my right arm only had one vein, so I'm like, let me just get a port. So I got a port. So I had 6 treatments of chemotherapy, and the first treatment was like, I think it was like 6 or 7 hours long, because they do want to make sure that you don't have a allergic reaction. And uh, then I believe it was every 3 weeks I went for chemo.
wow,
So it was interesting because, like, the first day I didn't feel anything. The second day I didn't feel anything. The third day I started feeling a little achy. I'm like, oh yeah, I do feel sick. And then the fourth day I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm a little nauseous. So they give you medicine for it. And then the sixth day it was like it took like 10 days for myself to feel better again. And then by then it was time for the next treatment. So,
right,
but it was like every time it seemed like it mimicked the same exact symptoms, but it wasn't like unbearable. Like I was still able to eat. Like water tasted weird. So, and I didn't have there's 2 types of chemotherapy for breast cancer, I believe. I don't, there might be more now, but back then, 9 years ago, there was 2 types. I had the less since my lymph nodes were negative, they gave me the more mild dose of chemo, I guess you could say. I
right,
mean, they all suck, but so I had the mild one.
right.
So it was definitely more tolerable, but but I was scared because I was like, "Is it gonna be like on TV where everybody's in a circle and just sitting there and, hanging onto their IV bag?" But
Yeah.
I had my own private room, so they had a really nice area for it. So on my first day, I was so nervous that I walked right into the door, the glass door. I didn't know it was shut.
Oh
So,
wow.
so that was fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, glad you're okay on that
Yeah.
one.
Just hurt my nose a little bit, but
Was it only the chemotherapy that you was on, or did you have like take any like other medication like pills and stuff like that to
I
treat this?
I did not have to have radiation, which was good.
Well,
I did have to take something called tamoxifen, which is also a hormone blocker to prevent my from any estrogen growing in my body. So, and that can cause uterine cancer. So that's why I decided, like 5 years after diagnosis, to have total hysterectomy. I'm like, get rid of everything. I don't need my ovaries. I'm not supposed to produce estrogen. So I so the pills are, again, not that bad. I mean, I'm on them for 10 years, so I'm almost done with them.
mm, right, absolutely. My next question to you is, I know you had your family by your side, supporting you, and I know you wanted to make them laugh just to calm them down. Was there anything else that helped you get through this breast to survive breast cancer? Was it anything else besides your family? And was it? I know you mentioned that you're Catholic, that you grew up Catholic. I'm not sure if you're that now, but
Mhm.
do you still have that faith aspect to you that helped you got through this whole breast cancer?
I I'm a what do they call me? I'm a cheester? Is that those people that just go to church on Christmas and Easter? That's
Part
me.
time is what we call it.
Okay, someone told me it's called cheester or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
So, I'm not gonna lie and say that I go a lot, but,
Right, right.
yeah, but I did pray a little bit, and, I mean, I kind of, like, I know a lot of people were praying for me, like, they go to church, and I would see my name on the screen, "Pray for Anna," and I'm like, "Oh, that's really sweet." So, I think
Right.
that made a difference too. It's like, even though, yeah, it was nice to know how many people were praying for me, that people I don't even know. So, I think
Yeah,
that definitely helped with me getting through cancer the way I did.
absolutely. I know you actually mentioned that you were married for 20 years, and you just got divorced about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, almost 3 years ago, yeah, next month or this
Yeah.
month, yeah.
Um, how much of you going through this whole breast cancer affected your relationship, and is there anything that you um would like that anything that you could change about it?
So, I mean, it brought us closer together. I mean, he was there for me for all the surgeries and uh, the treatments. So, I mean, I think it's hard for anybody to see their loved one to go through the cancer. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it was I'm sure I mean, I think the side effects from the cancer can probably affect a marriage. That's for sure. Sexual side effects of it.
Right, and get into that. I know you said it was painful for you to have sex. Do you think that's is a reason why it led to a divorce in your marriage?
I think it's possible. I mean, I think there was a number of things uh, that caused us to get divorced. We've known each other since 8th grade, so
Oh wow.
yeah, it was a long time. We've been married for 20 years, and so, um, but yeah, I think that. I mean, he never really said it. I never really said it, but I think that definitely can take a toll on any relationship, is having lack of sex.
Right, and I know you have two kids by the same gentleman, correct?
Yeah. I've only been
Uh,
with one person all my life. Yeah.
okay. And how is your relationship today?
We're
Are you just
amicable.
cool,
Yeah.
co-parenting?
Yeah. I mean, I have the kids every other week, so we just talk we have to, and he's pretty close to the house, which is nice too for the kids to go back and forth if they forget something or whatever. But
Oh, that's great.
yeah,
So let's start talk about the app that you actually created.
okay.
Um, take us through the whole process and the whole idea of um making this app. How this idea came to mind.
Okay. So when I was through my adult life or when I started menstruating, I had something called endometriosis, and that can cause painful intercourse. So I dealt with that for all my teenage years, but for the heavy bleeding and then the heavy cramps or the bad cramps and whatever it was, it's very common, I guess, in women. So when I became sexually active, then I'm like, "Man, sex hurts. Why does it hurt?" Like, okay, it was the first time, the second time it's supposed to hurt. And then but I was having pain when I was inserting tampons. Like something's wrong with me. I'm like, but I went to the doctor and I'm like, it's the gynecologist says it hurts to have sex. And she's like, well, just have a glass of wine. You're probably just nervous. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, all right,
Glass
fine.
of wine.
Yeah. Yeah. So then I went to another doctor like a few years later and I said, I don't have a sex drive. Like there's no libido. It hurts. Of course I'm not gonna have a sex drive because it always freaking hurts. And and she's like, well, you probably just need to have a glass of wine and relax. I'm like, oh wow, guess that's a common answer for doctors is have a glass of wine. But and I never talked about it to my friends. Like I mean I would. I'm like, I don't like sex. I go, it hurts. I just fight through it. I'm thinking, I'm married. I gotta have sex. This is how it's supposed to be. Suck it up, Anna. Deal with the pain. And my friends will be like, oh no, you're probably with the wrong person. I'm like, no, I think there's something wrong with me, but the doctors think, I'm just nervous. And so then I and thankfully had kids. So I had two kids, and after my second one, that's when I tried to have sex and intercourse, and it was like hitting a wall. So I was like, "What the hell?" I'm like nothing would go in there. So and then I knew something was wrong with me for sure. So I went to a new doctor, and she's like, "You have vaginismus," and I was like, "What in the hell is that?" And she's like, "Well." Because you've been in so much pain all the time, the opening of your vaginal the vaginal opening is surrounded by muscles and it's involuntarily spasming. So it and I said, "Well, how the heck does that happen?" And she said, "Well, you need to go to physical therapy." And I'm like, I didn't know there was a vagina therapist out there, but okay. So I did. And I asked the therapist, I'm like, why does this happen? And she said, well, here's an example. If somebody comes up to you and they punch you in the stomach, and every time you see them, they're going to punch you in the stomach and it's going to hurt. You're going to flinch and you're going to tighten those muscles right before for the anticipation of knowing that they're going to punch you in the stomach. So
Oh,
that's what's
okay.
happening with me about trying to have sex or anything internally. Uh, it was like impossible. And that's what my muscles were doing. And I thought it was all in my head, but even under anesthesia, they said that my muscles were just completely just spasming. So I started doing therapy, and which involves like using these dilators I mean, I won't even go into detail. You're probably, I don't think you want to
No,
know the
it's
detail.
fine. It's fine. It's
You
social
want to know the
conversations.
detail?
It's social
Yeah.
conversations. We go
Okay.
through everything. Don't leave anything out.
So it's therapy where you have to like put a dilator in, like one's the size of a pinky. You leave it in there for 10 minutes a day, and then once it's not painful, then you graduate to the next size. And then there's five sizes. The fifth size is size Godzilla, is what I would call it, because I was like, holy shit, that's huge. And I'm like, that's scary. So I would like throw it in the drawer. I'm like, I'm not using that thing.
Hmm.
And I feel sorry for any woman that would need that. But um, so smaller is better in my case. Uh, so so I was doing the treatment, but it's like if I didn't stay consistent, I would just go back to step 1, like size 1 again. I'm like, "Oh, this it was just frustrating." And then I
Yeah.
got breast cancer. So I was like, "Well, okay, forget about my broken vagina," because that's what I call myself. My vaginismus is that I have a broken vagina. So I'm like, "Forget about my broken vagina. I need to fight cancer." And that's what I did. But in the meantime, the oncologist is like, okay, your sex drive's going to be non existent because you're not going to have any estrogen in your body and you can't use any estrogen creams or anything because it's going to have your cancer come
Come
back.
back. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I was like, so, so what so you're saying that my sex drive is going to be non existent? I'm like, because it already is. So I don't know, and I'm sure my husband was probably like, "Oh, great, what the fudge, this freaking it's gonna get worse." And then
Yeah.
he's like, "You're gonna have vaginal dryness," and and I'm like, "I already have that too." So everything just got a lot worse.
Right.
So then I started thinking, I'm like, "You know what? I If I ever get divorced, I'm not gonna be with anybody because I don't wanna have sex ever." Like, I could deal with for the rest of my life, never want it because I never enjoyed it, right? And it wasn't a matter of, it was the wrong person I was with or whatever, because this is like an actual physical condition that I have. And I thought, I don't want to do these stupid dilators anymore. I don't want to sit here and do this. And for what? I'm like, you know what? I don't want to, there's no desire to do it. I'm like, I'm just going to stay single if I get divorced. And my friends were telling me they were going on dating apps. And these guys, traditional dating apps, and these guys would be like, in their 30s, I have erectile dysfunction, I have ED, I have diabetes that's caused me to have ED, I have PTSD, I have prostate cancer. I mean, it's all these different things like cardiac conditions. I can't take Viagra. It's like, and I'm like, they're in their 30s and they're saying that they have ED. And then, like, are you going to go see them again? Are you going to continue dating them? And my friends are like, hell no, I don't want to be with a guy like that. I'm like, well, save his number because I want to be with a guy that has ED. And they're like, "Oh, you're being silly." I'm like, "No, I'm really serious." I'm like, "See," of course, but I was married at the time. But then when I got divorced, I started thinking about those people. I started thinking about myself. I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to stay single," but I'm like, "No," I'm like, that's not a good answer. There's a reason I went through endometriosis, a broken vagina, and cancer. So what is that reason? Is it to help people? I don't think that's the only thing. So I'm like, what about how do I find these men that are being rejected and embarrassed because they have these sexual limitations? It's not fair to them either that they have to wonder and get nervous and is a person going to reject me, or are they going to make fun of me? And I thought, how do I bring these people together? And I can't use a traditional dating app myself. So I'm like, why don't I create a dating app that takes sexual expectations out of dating? And that's what I did. So it's for people that cannot have or just prefer not to have intercourse, whether it be because of personal or medical reasons. It doesn't have to be cancer related. I mean, like I said, it could be diabetes or PTSD or whatever it is. But so, and I thought, this is needed. It's just I wanted to create a safe environment so they didn't feel like they were going to be rejected or embarrassed because of the limitations or cheated on or left, because they're abandoned because they can't have sex, and maybe they desire other forms of intimacy, and there's other forms of intimacy like sex. That's why I don't say it's an app without sex, because it could be oral sex if somebody's okay with it. And they don't have to disclose that on the app. They don't have to say, like, "These are my limitations." They can just say, "This is my little bio," and if you wanna meet them, if you end up matching and meeting them, then you can talk about your limitations. Only if you want to, of course, because
Oh,
some people might have gone through trauma and they don't wanna talk about their, what they went through until they're more comfortable. But so it's definitely, I think, a needed app, and it launched the end of August of 2021. And it's slow moving. It's harder to reach the guys. I'm not sure why. I don't know if they're just being if maybe they don't know about it yet, or maybe they just are, you know, shy. I'm not really sure what it is yet, but I'm just starting to get the word out too, and I'm doing this on my own. So it's like just trying to spread the word has been a little bit of a challenge, but it's getting there. It's slow going, but it's getting there.
right. Did you work with like any like company to help you put this app together?
I did, yeah. So because I was a stay-at-home mom and worked, part-time at the doctor's office, so I thought, what am I doing? I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have no business background, and now I'm gonna find an app person to create an app. I'm gonna be the founder of an app. I'm like, this is crazy. But I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna just try to do it, and I need to do this to help these individuals. And so I found an app company. Of course, there's a story behind this one too. But so it was very expensive. It was supposed to be just for iOS, and I thought, "Okay, let me just invest in iOS," because I had an iPhone, so I thought, "Let me just stick with that first, and then if it's successful, then I'll make
Branch
sure."
out.
Yeah, and then do Android. So they started working on the app, and then they're like, uh, "Hey, Anna, this is a great idea. We want equity in your company. We can exchange services." And I was like, "Oh." exchange services, like discounted services. 'Cause at the time, I used all my savings for this, right? So I'm like, well, this sounds nice now. I'm like, I'm gonna have help from them, and they could help me in the business part of it. And so so I was like, maybe this is a good idea. And then they started asking me a bunch of questions and overwhelmed me. They were like, how many users are you gonna have? How many times a day are they gonna log in? How much are they gonna pay? How many men are gonna be signing up? How many women? How many in what state? Who's gonna have the most users? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm like, then I started getting all anxious. I'm like, wait a minute. If I tell them this number, 100,000 people are gonna sign up. If I say that, and then only 10,000 sign up, am I gonna get fired? And then I learned, yeah, you can. I'm like, what?
Wow. Wow.
So
That's a lot.
yeah. So I
Pressure.
told them, yeah. So I told them, you know what? No, I wanna do this on my own. Thanks anyway, because they didn't wanna do it to help people. They wanted to do it because they wanted to get money
Make
off of it.
money. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, I
absolutely.
don't wanna get rich off of it. Yeah, if I do, yeah, great. But my goal is to help people. That's how I'm gonna get rich off of this app, is to help
Yeah.
people that have been depressed and alone. And, so I told them, "You know what? I don't want help," and then everything went downhill. My app was not working right. There were spelling errors that they couldn't fix, and, it took them, like, 3 weeks to fix little things, and I kept saying, like, "Is it because I said no?" Like, "No, we would never do that. We believe in you. We want," and blah, blah, blah. So and I already paid him in full. So I could have stayed with them and waited months for them to fix little things, or take my code and cut my losses and just, just get the heck out of there. And that's what I did. I took my code and I left. And I thought, now what? I said, I think I want to quit. And I didn't, because I was like, hell no. No one's gonna take my dream away. So
Right.
I found another app guy, and I showed him the code, and he's like, "This is a very old school code. It's gonna take me a long time to figure it out. You should just start from scratch." And that's what I did. So
Which made more money out of your pocket.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I'm a
Hey.
little bit of debt right now, um, but it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's and it's gonna be on iOS. Right now. It's not on iOS yet, because but it's on Android. It's on Android. It's on the web. And Apple has said that there's so many dating apps out there that they don't want any new ones, because they thought there's too many scams out there.
Oh,
So
wow.
but that doesn't mean that it's a dead end for me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show them, like, how many podcasts I've been on. This is a magazine I've been on, newspaper, whatever, and this is a legit app. And then we'll bring it to Apple and then show them, and then most likely I'll be in the App Store as well.
Right.
But you can still use it with the iPhone. I just have to go through the web
Oh, okay.
temporarily.
Got you.
Mhm.
Um, what are some feedback that you heard so far from the app? People using the app.
Yeah, yeah, so I had one lady respond to me. I haven't heard anything about connections yet. So, but I did hear a lady say, "I've been single for 15 years, and I have not wanted to date because I don't wanna have sex anymore because it's too painful for me, and I just gave up hope. I was tired of getting rejected, and now I saw your app, and I finally have hope, and I get to meet somebody that will understand my limitations and accept me just the way I am." And she was, like, thanking me. I'm like, "This is awesome." That I got another guy emailed me, and he's like, he has something called Peyronie's disease, which is the abnormal curvature of the penis, and I believe it causes painful erections and painful intercourse, or makes intercourse impossible. And he said that he feels like a fraud. He's been going on these dating apps and meeting these women, and he waits till like the third or fourth date, and then he tells them, "I have Peyronie's disease," and then they're just like think of him as a freak. He thinks, and they just like they don't want to date him anymore. And
Right.
he's like, "Now I can comfortably date without wondering, are they going to understand this, that I can't have sex?" And I was like, "Holy cow!" I'm like, "This is so needed," because I've never heard of Peyronie's disease. And I started hearing about more about women's conditions, and I had emails from other countries like Australia, India, UK, Canada, saying, "When is this app going to be available in our country?" Because it's only available initially in the US.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, "Oh, I want it to be available in your country, but I want to make sure it's okay in the US first, and then I'm going to branch out to other countries because it's needed everywhere." There's approximately 30 million men in the US that have ED, erectile dysfunction, and there's approximately 320 million men in the world that have ED. That's a lot,
That's a lot.
right?
That's a lot of men.
Yeah. And then I thought, I started realizing, okay, I'm trying to increase breast cancer awareness with, if you find a lump, go get it checked out right away. Then I started realizing, wait, there's guys that have sudden erectile dysfunction. So if you're listening and you suddenly have ED, don't freak out and be like, "Oh no, forget it. I'm not a man anymore." Whatever you may think, or don't think like, "I'm not going to the doctor. I'm embarrassed. This is the end for my, I'm gonna have ED forever." Because if you have sudden ED, it could be a warning sign. It could be a sign that you have something else going on with your body. Maybe it's your blood pressure is way off, or maybe you have a clogged artery, and it's like a warning sign you're going to have a heart attack. So don't wait. If you have ED, sudden ED, or any other kind of symptoms, go to the doctor, go get it checked out because there's nothing to be afraid of. They see it all the time, and it could be a simple fix. It doesn't mean it's going to be permanent. And you don't have to use my app. So just because you have um like if you have ED, like, oh great, I have ED, forget, I'll just use Entwine. Well, no, I rather you go go to the doctor and get it checked out because it's it's scary if that. I mean, like myself, if I waited, I would have been dead.
Right.
Legit. Because so I got early detection is key in a lot of different conditions and cancers. And
Absolutely. Tell us, how did you come up with the name Entwine?
so I was gonna call it comfortable companions, and then people were saying that it sounded like diapers. So I thought, I'm like, fine. And then plus the app guys were like the first app developers. I know. Yeah. I mean, I know.
Diaper. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I was like, don't make fun of my name. So so then I talked to the app people. They're like, "You gotta get rid of the name, it's too long." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Fine." So, like, "What do you think? What do you think I should name it?" And they're like they gave me, like, 10 different names, and then I saw "Entwine." I'm like, "Oh, like entwine, like entwining people together and connecting them." So I'm like, "That's a perfect name." And that's why Entwine was the name that I picked.
Absolutely. Don't name drop a Saucy Bond for Entwine. That's a great name. Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Okay, thanks.
So, tell us about the future for Entwine, and do you have any other projects in works?
So my future for right now, there's it's basic. The app is very basic, meaning like you can't like filter. I want to make sure this person doesn't have kids. Like you can put down you don't want that you have kids, or if you don't have kids, but it could be up to the person if they want to decide at the time if they want to meet up with you if you have kids or not, uh, or if you smoke or not, or drink or not. And because the filters are not that specific like a regular dating app, because traditional dating apps, I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars to build them, right? So
Right.
so it's pretty basic right now. So my goal is once the database grows and it is successful, I'm going to make it available so that people can maybe even put down what their limitations are. Like I rather not be touched certain parts of my body because of scars or whatever it is. So that's my long-term goal once the app is more established. But of course, my ultimate goal is, which I hope is sooner than later, is to have it available worldwide. Because I hate to say to someone it's not available in your country. That just kills me because
Right.
I know the feeling of how they would feel if uh if I lived in the other country and I didn't have access to something like that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you would like to add on before we get out of here?
Just if you are somebody that is struggling with sexual limitations, that doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be loved. It means that you have somebody else out there that will understand it. And if you use my app, it'll be something that will hopefully provide you hope that you can find companionship without the fear of being rejected or embarrassed. And just go check it out. And it's a free app, so you have nothing to lose.
Absolutely. Saucy Nation, if you're struggling with any other issues that we talked about today on the show, um, go check out the app. As she said, it's free, so you have to pay anything. Don't be cheap, okay? So it's free, so make
Right.
sure you go download Anna's app, man, and go get help if you have these issues. Anna, now you're officially a Saucy alumni.
Woo.
You could come back anytime on the show. You're more than welcome. Not only we just interview people, but we have discussions about relationships, politics. Nothing is left off the table. So you're officially a some night. You got any other thing that you're selling? You're more than welcome to hit me up. Say, Jeff, hey, I got something new. Need to sell this. You're more than welcome to come back on the show. You're officially a suicide, and I'm lying. And
Oh,
God
thanks.
bless you. You've been through a lot, and God had to really see you through and all your ups and downs. So I appreciate you for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Saucy Nation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Twitch, and our Facebook watch channel. Don't forget to go check out some of my official merchandise, which is on Teespring. Um, Also, shout out to our sponsors, Click A Vodka and Holistic Remedies. Don't forget to use that. Don't forget to use that promo code HR Me Saucy at Holistic Remedies. You get 10% off. Shout out to my co-host who's going to be here today. Shout out to Mac, Dad, and Vinny. Love y'all. Go check out the other podcast as well, which is Saucy Discourse. It's a debate show about sports. Make sure you go check that out. Subscribe to all the platforms we're on. Also, we have a 24/7 TV network dropping this year. I don't have an official date yet, but I'm leaning towards the summertime. I got my server just built, so it's going to be a 24-hour streaming service. We're going to have podcasting. We're going to have independent TV showmakers. We have independent movies, short films. So if you would like to be part of the network, go to Saucy Nation TV at gmail.com. Hit me up, and I will send you all the information on the network. Peace of love, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace of love, Anna.
You too.